Welcome to our lecture on Indian geography, the most interesting part, which is climate. Now understand, this is a very basic introductory lecture to our further lectures on climatology. Since this is an introductory lecture, I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. So we'll start with some of the very basic questions. The first question is, what is the real difference between weather and climate? So when I say weather, it's a day-to-day changing phenomena. This weather incorporates various elements. It could be temperature, wind, pressure, humidity, precipitation. So all those are factors that affect weather. Now you might ask, what is climate? Climate is simply the weather conditions for a prolonged period of time. And what is that prolonged period? It is not less but around 20 to 30 years, which is taken as an average. So that weather phenomena which occurs for a prolonged period of 20 to 30 years is what is known as climate. When we go out, I say the weather looks sunny. I don't say the climate looks sunny, because where we are, we already know the climatic characteristics of those regions. But the day-to-day changing phenomena, which is the weather, is something we can actually comment on. The next important thing is, what is monsoon? Now, to be very simple, monsoon is nothing but seasonal reversal of winds. Now, India is a monsoon land, and our nation is typically dependent on monsoon for agriculture, which sustains nearly 64% of the population. Now, this huge proportion of monsoon dependent economy, we can say, makes monsoon a very crucial part of India. When we dive into the details and the complexities of monsoon, we would understand one very basic important thing. And this basic important thing about monsoon is understanding the reasons for the variability. Now, the variability in the monsoon could be generated by numerous factors. In India, typically there are certain factors that affect monsoon. For example, the role of Himalayan mountains, the role of jet streams, El Nino. These are just few I have quoted here, but Tibetan Plateau and many more. So those are just few factors that actually affect the monsoon and its impact. Now, when I say monsoon and its impact on South and Southeast Asia, it becomes important to understand that there are variations. These variations are regional as well as seasonal. So what's the difference? Regional, I can say on one end is Mansoon and Cherrapunji that receive more than 1000 rainfall, 1000 centimeters of rainfall a year. On the other hand, we have Jaisalmer in Rajasthan, where you receive less than 10 centimeters of the rainfall. Tura in the Garo Hills in Meghalaya is the region where the average rainfall received in one single day, I could say, is equivalent to 10 years of rainfall received in Jaisalmer. So there are definitely huge regional variations that exist. Now, there are seasonal variations as well. For example, within the same season, the temperature in Kerala would be very different from temperature in Jammu Kashmir. The temperature in Rajasthan would be very different from, let's say, Kerala. And the reasons are plenty. It could be the influence of the sea. It could be the distance from the equator. So there are various factors that affect climate. Understanding this, we would understand what are the factors that affect climate. I could cite another example. For example, Ganga Delta is the region which is during the periods of July and August, I can say there are strong winds and heavy flow. However, on the same time, Coromandel coast actually turns out dry. So there are seasonal variations that occur. Now, what are the factors that determine climate? There are numerous factors that determine climate. Two important categorizations I can lay down here. One is the factors that affect the location and the relief, and the second are the factors which are related to air pressure and the wind. When I say factors affecting location and relief, the first factor that I would cite here is latitude. Now, latitude is how far the region exists from the equator. The region, sorry, I have marked it wrong. So the region from where the Tropic of Cancer actually runs India. Above that, the region I can say is subtropical and temperate in nature. And below that, the region between the equator and the Tropic of Cancer is the tropical belt. So latitude definitely matters. The next is the role of Himalayan mountains. So Himalayas are huge mountains, and when the wind blows, it actually collides with them and falls in the region which is on the side of the Himalayan mountain. The next is distribution of land and water. Now water has a moderating influence. It does not allow extreme weather events to occur. However, as you move away from the water and there is huge land mass, what would happen? The low pressure building up would be more significant, and therefore there would be intense periods of dryness or extreme weather conditions, right? However, because of the water on the coastal belts, there would be moderate climate influence. Distance from the sea again matters. The region closer to the sea are the areas which receive more rainfall in contrast to as you move away from the sea. We would see how the monsoon enters India. It actually bifurcates into two streams. One is the Arabian Sea branch and the other is the Bay of Bengal branch. We'll understand that as we move forward. The next is altitude. The temperature decreases as you move on with height. So there is decline in temperature with height or increasing height. There are various places, but on the top, the hilly areas, we can say the air gets rarefied, or we can say the air gets relatively thin, and this thin air is one of the reasons that the mountain areas are relatively cold. Then is the relief feature. Under the relief feature, there can be various relief features, for example mountains, plateaus. These relief features affect the temperature, they affect the pressure, they affect the wind speed and the direction of the wind. So all those factors affect the actual topography of the region. The next is the factors related to air pressure. Now when I say air pressure, what is important? The distribution of air, the distribution of winds. So distribution of winds, distribution of air pressure is one of the parameters that we must consider. The second important parameter is the upper air circulation. Upper air circulation includes what? Upper air circulation definitely includes the jet streams. We will talk about the westerly jet stream and the easterly jet stream in the next section. The third important factor related to air pressure and the wind is the inflow of the air mass. Now inflow of the air mass is also determined through the upper air circulations as well. And the last important point is the western disturbances or the cyclonic characteristics. Now these cyclonic characteristics again affect the monsoon or the climate of the region. So those are some of the factors that are important for us to know before we proceed forward. Now as we know, the mechanism of weather in winter season and in summer season, right? We would understand both. Let's first talk about winter season. In winter season, it depends on three important criteria: surface pressure, jet streams and the cyclonic disturbances. So what would happen to the surface pressure and the wind? The land mass actually has high pressure. So the center land mass would have high pressure and the winds would actually move out from this high pressure. Since the winds are moving out from this high pressure region, this region is relatively dry in nature. It's not moist. The rain, the moisture laden clouds are not coming into this region. Winds always have a tendency to blow from high pressure to low pressure, as we have already covered in our class on physical geography. So this actually makes sure that this whole region comes in contact with the trade winds in the North India, and the whole of the North India, the whole of the Northwest India, the Ganga region, the Brahmaputra region is covered under dry winds. But this whole phenomena occurs in the lower layers. Now what about the upper layers? Interesting. Upper layer 3 km above it is the layer where you have jet streams. Now during the winter months there is a westerly jet stream that moves in this direction from west to east. The originating part is the part where it is known to be called as. So I say westerly jet stream, that means it originates from where? It originates from the west, moving towards the east. So in the winter season, there are westerly jet streams. These westerly jet streams are higher, above. Now this westerly jet stream actually breaks into two segments across the Tibet. One is the segment that moves north of Tibet, the other is the segment that moves south of Tibet. The winds that move south of Tibet are the winds that are actually moving in the region of Himalayan belt, and they are responsible for what? They are responsible for influencing the winter conditions in India. As simple as that. So those jet streams which are westerly are seen in winter. Another good way is to remember is winter with W, westerly with W. So WW is what you can remember. Little easy for you. The next is the cyclonic disturbances. Now, in the winter season, there are cyclonic disturbances which originate in the region of far Mediterranean Sea. Now, when there are the disturbances that originate in Mediterranean Sea, these disturbances are brought through what? They are again brought through the westerlies. Westerly jet streams are the streams which are coming from the west towards the east. So any disturbance created in the Mediterranean Sea, sorry, it's hiding behind me. Okay, so any disturbance which is created because of the Mediterranean Sea would be moving from the Mediterranean Sea to the Indian landmass, and this would happen through what? This would happen through the westerly jet stream. So Mediterranean Sea disturbances would be brought to India through the westerly jet stream. As a result, there would be increase in the temperatures and in the night time, and this would also lead to cyclonic activity. Now since the night temperature would increase, this would lead to differential heating, and therefore there would be a cyclonic disturbance, low pressure zone which would be created and would lead to cyclonic disturbances. Bay of Bengal as well as the Indian Ocean. The winds which blow from these regions are the regions that come with high speed, high wind velocity and are extremely destructive in nature. The next is the mechanism which we understand during the summer season. So far what we talked about was winter season. Now what happens in the summer season? In the summer season there is low pressure in the landmass. Right? So in the center there is low pressure, and as we said, winds have a tendency to blow from high pressure to low pressure. So winds from the region of Indian Ocean move towards the region of low pressure, and this is one of the reasons that we have the rainfall that occurs during the post summer months, and this is one of the reasons that we also understand that the surface phenomena are important. So what happens is, this low pressure winds, when they are brought, the intertropical convergence zone, which is known as ITCZ, actually shifts northward. Now when it shifts northward, it is running parallel to the Himalayan range. So it runs parallel to the Himalayan range, shifting northward, and along with this, what is important is, this time during the summer months, the westerly jet streams start to withdraw. Now when the westerly jet stream starts to withdraw, what would happen? There would be another stream, the jet stream, which would be the easterly jet stream, and this easterly jet stream would actually bring in rainfall in the region below the Himalayan mountain or in the region of the Indian subcontinent, right? So there is a very close relation between the shifting of the ITCZ northwards as well as the withdrawal of the westerlies. We can understand this as a simple cause-effect relationship. The next important thing is, as we said, there are jet stream circulations, but these jet streams in the case of summer months are relatively in the lower lower latitudes, and these are called as easterly jet streams. They They are called as easterly. Why? Because they blow from east towards the west. So these are called as easterly. Note, westerly jet streams were on the higher latitudes. Easterly jet streams are relatively at a lower latitude, specifically during the month of July. The winds during this time run at a speed of 90 km per hour, and they actually shift. Again, during the month of August, it is somewhere around 15 degrees north. Then during the month of September, it shifts northward and it is around 22 degrees north, right? So there is a shift which is witnessed in the same. And along with the easterly jet streams, there are cyclonic disturbances that do occur. Now, when there are cyclonic disturbances, there are depression. Now, this depression actually is responsible for distribution of monsoon, because depression means a low pressure zone. When there is a low pressure zone, winds from high pressure would come in. These winds which are coming in are moisture laden clouds, and the winds which are bringing the moisture laden clouds here would actually fall and precipitate. So these depressions would be responsible for the rainfall. The frequency of the depressions would depend on two things. One is the direction of the depression. The next is the intensity of the depression. So based on the direction and the intensity, we would understand that how these depressions are formed and how frequently these depressions are formed. So far what we have understood is what is climate, what is weather, the differences between the two, what is monsoon, how monsoon actually happens in a country like India, the mechanism of the weather phenomena during the winter months and the summer months, the factors which influence the climate conditions of the region. So this helps us form the basis of understanding the concept of monsoon and the onset of monsoon. The first important thing is, when I talk about nature of the monsoon, there are three important things that we discuss. The first is the onset of the monsoon. The second important thing is the rain bearing system. And the third important thing that we need to understand here is the break in monsoon. Break, or also called as burst in monsoon, right? The first is onset of the monsoon. Why does monsoon actually happen? The most important question. The simple traditional reason said that there is differential heating. The heating of the land mass occurs at a faster pace. So more heated land mass and less heated ocean. Since it is more heated, it would generate low pressure. Less heated would have high pressure. Winds have a tendency to blow from high pressure to low pressure, and as a result, the winds which are blowing from ocean towards the land mass would be moisture laden, and this moisture, when it gets it collides with the Himalayan mountain range, would ultimately drop, and therefore you would have the monsoon conditions which would occur. So one important direct explanation for the onset of monsoon, I can say, is differential heating. The second important understanding is the withdrawal of the westerly jet stream. As I said, jet streams are 3 kilometers above. So the surface wind, surface pressure conditions are governed by this low pressure, high pressure differential heating traditional theories. The later theories said that there are jet streams in the upper atmosphere, and therefore upper atmospheric circulation do matter. So in the winter months, as we understood, there are the westerly jet streams. However, they start to withdraw, and during the summer there are the easterly jet streams. These easterly jet streams are responsible for the monsoon conditions in India and therefore bringing rain. So Kerala is the region where you have the monsoon hitting first around 1st of June, and then this monsoon divides into two branches. One is the Bay of Bengal branch, which goes towards the side of Bengal and Bangladesh. The next is which hits the Arabian Sea line. So the monsoon, I can say, reaches the region of Mumbai and Kolkata simultaneously. So if I come back onto the map again here, I draw a map here. I say Kerala is the region which is hit on 1st June. Now the monsoon winds bifurcate. So this is the region which is Mumbai, and this is the region which is Kolkata. One stream moves towards the Arabian Sea, the other moves towards Bay of Bengal, and therefore Mumbai and Kolkata receive rainfall both somewhere around the same dates of 10th to 13th of June. Now, these patterns of all the regions receiving rain during one time, I can say, are the lines which join the places of rainfall starting at the same time. But this pattern also changes. So in the standard textbooks, you would have a certain diagram which says 1 June, and then finally the region of Rajasthan, which is 15th of July as the monsoon coverage, and this is for the southwest monsoon. You would have another map which shows the retreating monsoon and Tamil Nadu with the retreating monsoon and the winter rains, which is most useful, right? So there are various important elements that you must understand while you are understanding the onset of the monsoon. The next is the rain bearing system. Now this rain bearing system is important. Now as I said, it divides into two branches. One is the Bay of Bengal. Bay of Bengal brings rainfall to the northern plains. It also brings rainfall to the regions of Bengal, Bangladesh. The next branch is the Arabian Sea branch. Now this Arabian Sea branch actually brings in southwest monsoon. And this southwest monsoon is towards the side of Mumbai. The other is towards the side of Kolkata. Now, another important thing is the rainfall occurs along the Western Ghat. Now, this map which I draw here, this is the Western Ghats, right? This Western Ghat has two sides, the windward side and the leeward side. Windward side so let's say this is the ocean. Winds are coming from this direction. This is the mountain. So clouds would hit here and rain on this side. So this side is the side where the rain actually happens. So from this mountain, this is the side which receives rain, and this is the windward side. The other side actually remains dry because by the time clouds reach here, all the moisture has been released and there is no more moisture. So this is the relatively dry side. So on the wet side, which is the windward side, the rainfall is around 250 to 400 centimeters. The other side, which is the dry side, is the region where you have some of the important settlements. What are those? Pune, Kozhikode. Then you have the most important areas of civilizations, we could say, which are prospering in terms of businesses, industries, which are actually on the leeward side. And just being on the leeward side gives them an added advantage for the same, right? So this Arabian Sea branch, we have understood, occurs through the southwest monsoon. There is the windward side and the leeward side associated to it. And then the whole of the monsoon does not occur together. It's not like that it starts raining today and it would continue to rain for 3 months. No. There are what is known as break in the monsoon, or also known as burst of the monsoon. Why we call it one and the same thing? Because monsoon occurs for a couple of days and then there is a period of dry days, and then again period of rainy days followed by period of dry days. Therefore, we call it as a period of break in monsoon. The next is the burst of monsoon, because there is a period of dry days and then there is all of the sudden rainfall. We say the clouds burst, and therefore it is also called as burst of clouds, right? Now, when the winds blow parallel to the coast, we actually see the break in the monsoon. One of the important reasons, the intensity of the rain on the west coast is affected by two factors. First is the offshore meteorological conditions which are there, and the second important factor is the equatorial jet stream, which is along the east coast of Africa. So those factors again affect the monsoon. The next important thing that we need to understand here is one of the interesting phenomena which is known as El Nino. El Nino comes from the name Christ child, that means Christmas. Now this Christmas, during occurs during the summer months in Peru. Peru is one of the countries in South America, and the east coast of Peru is the coast which is responsible for this El Nino phenomena, because it causes extreme weather conditions, droughts, floods, and other extreme variations. So what happened? The temperature on the coast of Peru actually rises to nearly 10 degrees Celsius. This would lead to distortions of the equatorial wind circulation. It would also lead to increase in the death of fishes and the wildlife there. It would also lead to increase in the plankton growth. Okay, because of the plankton growth, there would be more fishing, and finally more fishes, and therefore there would be a drastic change in the ecosystem which is present in that region. Extinction of this would have its impact on the Indian side, and on the Indian side, the long range monsoon changes, we can say, could be predicted with the changes in the El Nino. So this El Nino is called as the seesaw balance. If you want to understand more about El Nino, we have covered that in one of the separate lectures. I won't dive into the details of each of those, because in the next section we would also be covering climatic classification by Köppen, which is again covered in detail in a separate video. So just to avoid the repetition and making this class systematic, we would avoid going into individual details. So El Nino would be one of the topics that you would refer separately. Köppen's classification would be another topic that you would have to refer separately. So this section talked about the nature and the onset of the monsoon. Now coming next is the rhythm of the monsoon. When I say rhythm of the monsoon, I can say the monsoon is categorized into the climate of India is the weather phenomena in India can be categorized into 4 different segments. Okay, so one is what is called as the cold weather. The second is what is known as the hot weather. The third is what is known as the southwest monsoon, and the fourth is what is known as the retreating monsoon. Southwest monsoon and retreating monsoon, an in-depth topic that we would understand. A quick summary about cold weather and hot weather conditions. Now cold weather conditions are the weather conditions that are prevalent from the month of November till January. Even during the months of February, there are few elements of cold weather which are affected by the winds from the Caspian Sea and Trans-Carpathian side, which affect or called cold waves in the region of India. This is the area, or this is the time when there is no rainfall. There is a high pressure in the North India, and as a result winds blow out. Since winds are blowing out, this region is relatively dry. There is no moist season which is present here. The sunshine vertical over the Tropic of Cancer. There are light winds at a speed of 3 to 5 kilometers per hour. Weak temperate cyclones can form during this time, but the cyclonic formations during the cold months are relatively weak. They are not very harsh. Exceptions of the rainfall in the cold month is in the region of Tamil Nadu. Why? Because it witnesses the retreating monsoon. A little amount of rainfall is also seen in the regions of Arunachal Pradesh and Assam during the cold months. So I am now focusing only exclusively on the cold months, and this whole monsoon is governed by what? In simple terms, I can say this monsoon is governed by the temperature differences between, or the differences in the southern oscillation, which are depicted between the region of Tahiti. Now Tahiti is one of the regions in French Polynesia. The difference between Tahiti and the region of Port Darwin in North Australia, and this is forecasted using 16 different parameters which are measured through IMD. So IMD actually measures those 16 different indicators or parameters based on which the monsoon phenomena can actually be explained. The next is the hot weather conditions. Now hot weather conditions, usually we say 26 to 32 degrees Celsius is the average. However, in Western Ghats it always remains less than 25 degrees Celsius. The temperature increases from the coastal area towards the interior. So as you move inside, the temperature would actually increase. Okay, so temperature is moderating towards the coast. As you go inside, the temperature would increase and the extremities in the day and night variations would increase. So day-night variations again on the ocean side or on the coastal side, the difference between the day and night is not that sharp. However, as you move interior, the difference between the day and night temperature gets sharper or more distinct. Also, there are dust storms during the summer months or the hot weather seasons. In local language, it is known as Loo in India. Loo is a severe hot wind that blows in the regions of Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Western Uttar Pradesh, parts of northern Gujarat, and this is sometimes associated with light winds, light breeze we can say, but this Loo is an extremely hot wind that flow during the summer months in the Indian region. Also, there are some other important winds that you must be familiar with. So mango showers. These mango showers occurs before the monsoon and they are seen in the regions of Kerala and Karnataka, also called as bloom showers. This is called as bloom showers because it is the time where coffee actually blooms in the regions of Kerala. There is another term which is known as nor'wester. Now this nor'wester is the time where Kal Baisakhi occurs in the region of West Bengal. So nor'wester linked to Kal Baisakhi. Kal Baisakhi is one of the festive periods in Assam. Another period is known as Bardoli Chera. So those are the period of hot winds. The next important period is the southwest monsoon. Now, as I said, southwest monsoon is the time when the winds are blowing from the region of high pressure towards the region of low pressure on the Indian subcontinent. Now, when the winds are blowing from high pressure to low pressure, these winds are bringing with along them the moisture laden content, and this bifurcates into two streams. So, one goes along the Arabian Sea and the other goes along the Bay of Bengal. Now, this Bay of Bengal stream again hits the Arakan Yoma range of the Myanmar and takes a turn towards the Indian land on the region of Ganga Brahmaputra, and this Arabian Sea branch again moves forward, right? So low pressure is one of the reasons for intensification of monsoon, and moisture laden winds from the Indian Ocean originate, which actually bring in monsoon conditions during this side. Since the winds originate from the west, southwest, it is known as the southwest winds. Now note that the origin of the wind is the name where it is named as. So since it originates from southwest, it is called as southwest. The retreating monsoons are northeast because it originates from northeast India. Again, a very simple concept that you must be clear with. Now, the Arabian Sea branch actually bifurcates into three segments. One is the Western Ghats. The next is hitting the region of Mumbai, and the third is hitting the region of Saurashtra. Right? Western Ghats. So Western Ghats are the slope areas, the windward side and the leeward side. Windward side is the side that receives good rainfall. So clouds hit here, clouds actually rain. So this is the windward side. The other side is the leeward side, which is relatively dry with less rainfall. Pune, Bangalore, Kozhikode is good example on the leeward side, and therefore a lot of technological progress, or we can say progressive cities, are seen on the leeward side because the weather phenomena are actually more predictable. Mumbai is an exception. However, Mumbai is another region which receives good amount of rainfall. Tapti and the Narmada rivers and the regions running from Chota Nagpur, originating from the regions of Chota Nagpur, moving here, enter the plain and meet the region here. So there are merger of rivers. So one of the streams goes towards the east, the other stream merges towards the Arabian Sea. So we have the tributaries of Godavari going on to the other side, the tributaries of Narmada and Tapti merging towards the western side. Then is the region of Saurashtra. Saurashtra is the region where you hit the region of Rajasthan and Aravalli, and this lies in the region of Western Himalayas. The next is the Bay of Bengal. So Bay of Bengal, as I said, the Myanmar region, Arakan Yoma, the winds actually hit the Arakan Yoma, take a sharp turn towards India, and this is where the Ganga plains actually receive rainfall through the Bay of Bengal stream which is there. Also, Tamil Nadu during this time remains dry because Tamil Nadu is a region that comes parallel to the Bay of Bengal branch, and since it comes parallel to the Bay of Bengal branch, this is the time where Tamil Nadu does not receive any rainfall. But yes, it would receive rainfall when the monsoon starts to retreat, which we would understand later. So if I talk about retreating monsoon, it's the time where Tamil Nadu actually receives the rainfall, but this retreat happens from the month of September in the north. By the time it reaches the region of Tamil Nadu, it's October already. So Tamil Nadu actually receives rain during the month of October and November, and that's why it is also called as a period of winter rainfall in Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu is again an important exception. During the southwest monsoon, it is parallel to the Bay of Bengal branch, and as a result there is rain shadow area. However, with the retreating monsoon, there is ample amount of rainfall that is seen. Now, what would retreating monsoon bring? Retreating monsoon would bring clear skies. The land would, however, remain moist that time, but there won't be any active rainfall from the region where the monsoons are retreating. The region would witness high temperature, high levels of humidity, and then the drier conditions that would start to develop in the north, and slowly this drier conditions would also be witnessed as the monsoon retreats. Now when I talk about monsoon, the monsoon itself is an important indicator for life. Why do I say monsoon is an important indicator for life? Because monsoon is an important life sustaining activity. It actually brings in agriculture. It brings in variability in the season, variability in the food, housing, clothing conditions. It also brings in different types of regional and seasonal variations in India, as we have seen. And since there are regional and seasonal variations, there have to be variations in the kind of food that people eat, kind of clothing that is worn, kind of cultivation which is done. Now winter rain is actually good for rabi crops. So rabi crops actually get benefit from the winter rainfall as well. So monsoon is definitely an integral part of Indian economy because agriculture in India is extremely monsoon dependent. The next is Indian seasons. Now Indian seasons we can broadly classify into 6. Those are Vasant, which is the spring season, Grishma, which is the summer season. So I can write the months. So Vasant, it is around March, April. Grishma is May, June. And we can continue with a pair of 2 months, right? So Vasant, Grishma, Varsha, which is rainfall, Sharat, which is a little cold, Hemant, increasing cold, and Shishir, which is shivering, you can remember it as. Okay, so it's the most cool period of January, February. So those are the classification of Indian season. India as a land has various regions. Regions of high rainfall, moderate rainfall, low rainfall, and extremely low rainfall. High rainfall, Mansoon, Cherrapunji, Northeast Hills, Garo Khasi Jayantia in Meghalaya. The coastal areas are the areas of higher rainfall on the windward side. Then the regions of moderate rainfall towards the center of India, low rainfall towards the Rajasthan. Beyond the Aravallis, the Thar desert area is the area of extremely low rainfall. So high rainfall is what I say, rainfall more than 200 centimeters. Moderate is 100 to 200. 50 to 100 is low. Less than 50 is very low rainfall. Again, there are variability. So coefficient of variability is standard deviation divided by mean into 100. And this gives you coefficient of variability, which allows you to explain the variability in the rainfall. Now, when there is variability in the rainfall, what do you need to understand? That means how much differences are there. Now, variability in the rainfall, I can say, or variability in the conditions, I can say if it is more than 50%. Good examples could be the region of Rajasthan, Deccan, Jammu Kashmir. However, less than 25% variability is seen in the regions of Western Ghat, Northeast Peninsula. So here the variabilities are less in terms of rainfall, but in the regions of Rajasthan there are extreme variabilities which are present. The next is the segment of climatic classification. As I said, Köppen gave the concept of climatic classification. Köppen's climatic classification we have covered in a separate lecture. Just to come back to some important points, the tropical region with the temperature of more than 18 degrees Celsius has been classified separately. The dry regions are being classified as S and W. S is the semi-arid, W is the arid area. Then there is a classification which says that there are warm temperate conditions where the temperature of the coldest month lies from 18 degree to minus 3 degrees Celsius. Then the next is the cold temperate temperatures where the temperature of the warmest month actually lies from 11 degree to minus 3 degrees Celsius. And the last one is the ice temperature where the warmest months are under 10 degrees Celsius. So these are some of the classification criteria for Köppen, and based on that there are various segments of classification which have been identified by Köppen. For example, I can say AMW. This is the monsoon with short dry season. There is AS, monsoon with dry summer. Then there is AW, which is the savanna, the tropical savanna region. Good example is the peninsular area. Then classification of BWHW, which is the dry belts. The classification of CWG, which is the monsoon with dry winter. So just to make sure, capital S and capital W, what was as the semi-arid and the arid areas, but there is another classification with small letters. So F is for sufficient rainfall, M is for rainforest despite of dry monsoon conditions, W is dry seasons, then H is hot and dry, C is less than 4 months with temperature of more than 10 degrees Celsius, and G is the region of Gangetic Plains. So those are some of the classifications which have been given. So CWG is the region of Ganga Plain, DFC is the region where you have cold, humid winter conditions. Arunachal Pradesh is a good example, and the summer periods are short here. And finally is E, which is the polar type of climate, which is the region of Jammu Kashmir. The next is global warming. Now under global warming we don't need to go into much detail. The idea is the rising temperature. Now this rising temperature is given by the greenhouse gases. Some of the common greenhouse gases are methane, CFC, carbon dioxide. Now all those nitrous oxides which are emitted into the atmosphere, what they do is these chemicals actually emit long wave radiations and they absorb the short wave. So the trap of the long wave and the short wave comes as greenhouse gases, and finally leading to rising temperature. This rising temperature is what is responsible for global warming. As a result of global warming, the ice would start melting of the ice, melting of the glaciers would lead to increase in the sea level. Increase in the level of the sea would lead to submergence of the small islands which are located nearby. So there are various things that we need to understand. With this increasing water levels, there would be also increase in the vector-borne diseases like malaria, dengue. Those are some of those to be cited. Then also by the end of 21st century, it is cited that there would be 48 centimeters increase in the sea level, which is very, very significant. A small island developing nations like Vanuatu would be significantly affected by it. The human population would also experience a significant challenge because of the rising sea levels. The area which was under cultivation would be reduced. So food scarcity, food insecurity would be another important thing that must be addressed. And it is believed by 2100 the temperature would rise to 2 degrees Celsius. 2 degrees Celsius temperature would lead to sea level rise and rapid melting of glaciers, rapid melting of ice, and ultimately increase in the levels of sea and the ocean water. So those are some of the important things that we have discussed in this segment. So this was a quick introduction back to our class on climate. As I said, the detailed analysis of all these topics we have covered in a separate video. So if you are really interested into what are these, how do we need to understand these, I would definitely request you to go and watch the separate video on El Nino and La Nina, the separate video on Köppen's classification, and another separate video on greenhouse effect and global warming. Hope the session was useful and you enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to post those in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to resolve your doubts. Thank you.